Hello and welcome to the Quietly Visible podcast. I'm your host, Carol Stewart, founder of Abounding Solutions and author of Quietly Visible, Leading with Influence and Impact as an Introverted Woman. And this is the podcast for introverted women who want to thrive as leaders and in life. Now, in this episode of the podcast, I'm talking about influencing, and developing their influencing skills is something that I often will coach clients to do. And to some of them, it can be difficult as introverted women leaders in environments which are extroverted. I work with a lot of women who are in male-dominated environments, and having that influential presence can sometimes be challenging for them. So what I'm going to talk about today is just getting clear about what influencing is and what it isn't, and sharing tips that will help you to develop your influencing skills so that you can be more influential and influence with impact. So when we look at what influencing is all about being able to have an effect on how people buy into something and move along with it. And the Oxford Dictionary defines it as the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. And the objective when it comes to influencing is about convincing those that you're wanting to influence on both an intellectual level and an emotional level of what it is that you want to convey, what it is that you're wanting to get across, what it is that you're wanting to do. And so influencing, it's not about being manipulative, it's not about coercing, it's not about tricking or forcing people or deceiving people or brainwashing people. And yes, those ways may get people to do what you want them to do, but when you're wanting to influence someone, it's about empowering them to come along with what it is that you're doing, or your ideas, or to buy into your vision. You don't want people, as a leader, you don't want people to be reluctantly doing what you want them to do, or what you're asking them to do, or buying into your vision reluctantly and just doing it because you're the leader. You want them to feel inspired and encouraged and empowered to do what it is that you're wanting to influence in. And so thinking about how you go about influencing, think about whether you're pushing people or whether you're pulling people. Now, when you're pushing people into your idea or your vision, what it is that you want, then you're using more forceful techniques. And that may be okay in some situations, particularly if it's an emergency, or it's something whereby it's necessary to do immediately. But if you're wanting to bring people along with you, then think about how you can use pull influencing. And to influencing, what I work with a lot of my clients around is developing the right mindset. So addressing any fears or self-doubt or self-limiting beliefs that they may have about themselves, about what it is that they're wanting to influence in. And give you an example. So one particular client, woman in a male-dominated environment, doubted that she was able to assert herself in a particular situation amongst her colleagues. And coming in at it from that mindset meant that she wasn't confident going into the meeting. She wasn't confident presenting. She wasn't able to confidently assert herself when people challenged her thinking. So what we did was we worked on addressing those self-limiting beliefs that she held about herself in that situation, and helped her to change what she thought about herself and what she believed about herself, and recognizing that even though she was different to the rest of the group, even though she hadn't had the same sort of access to opportunities, her education hadn't been the same level as theirs, but getting her to recognize that she had earned her seat at the table. She'd worked hard to get to where she was. She had more than proven herself, and she'd earned a seat at the table. So not to walk into that arena, that meeting, thinking that she wasn't as good as them, because then she's lacking psychological privilege, and she's putting them on a pedestal in terms of the psychologically that they are better than her, and putting herself down, and coming at it, not necessarily going to walk in there with that confidence that will help to bring people along with her idea. And also be intentional about what it is that you want and what it is that you want to achieve, and think about the outcome that you want, visualize the outcome that you want, and how you want people to feel, how you want people to think, and think about, well, what are the messages, what are the data, what are the things that you need to get across so that you can get the outcome that you want. And when it comes to influencing, there are what I call 5 pillars that underpin the foundations of influencing. And these are self-awareness, rapport, listening, effective communication, selling the benefits. And these underpin trust, because if you're wanting to bring people along with you, you want people to buy into you, you need to develop trust. And all of that underpins being able to influence. And so when it comes to trust, it's about letting people see that you are someone to trust, because people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And even though people may not be buying any product or service from you, in your role as a leader, they're buying your ideas, you're selling them your ideas. And so you want to be able to establish that trust so that people buy your ideas, they like you, or even if they don't like you, they respect what you say because of your skills, your knowledge, your experience, your expertise. And they trust that even though they may not necessarily agree, or they may not necessarily, like I said, like, they do respect that you are a person of credibility, and they trust that you, the team, or the individuals at heart. So think about how you can develop that trust by making sure that you are somebody who is knowledgeable about your subject area, that you've got the right skills, that you've got the experience, and that you're confident in what you do, that you're confident in yourself and what you do, and that you are someone who is a person of integrity, and that you're transparent, and that you're honest, and that you are authentic as well. And being self-aware so that you are able to see and recognize how people are responding to you and what it is that you are sharing, and be aware of your own personal biases when you're in a situation where you want to influence, that you're not just bringing your opinions in based on your biases. So beware of any biases that you may have, and put those aside, being able to regulate your emotions so that when someone may not agree with you or may challenge you, that you don't respond from a place of emotion, that you're able to respond from a place of evidence, facts, examples, experience, and knowledge. And there's something that I was having a conversation with a client on a recent basis, and we were talking about how um, being able to, when somebody puts a different opinion or challenges what you're saying, is not backing down, but in an articulate, assertive, and professional way, being able to put aside any emotions that you may have, being able to regulate those emotions, and coming with factual evidence to support what it is that you are proposing. Being able to adapt and recognize when you may need to adapt your style. And that comes through self-awareness, recognizing that, you may be trying to influence a particular group of people or a board, or that may have very rigid ways of thinking or particular ways of thinking, and your normal style may not necessarily get the desired results. So thinking about how you can modify and adapt your behavior or your communication in a way that they can resonate with and that they can understand. And rapport, as I mentioned, as one of the pillars, is essential for building influence. Building rapport with people that you are wanting to influence, and ways in which you can develop rapport is by finding a common ground that that they can relate to you, you can relate to them on. Listening, being active in your listening, and making sure that you're listening to their concerns, and you're letting them feel that they are heard as well. Think about how you build that rapport, how you develop that rapport, and giving people your full attention so that they know that you're listening, and that you're not being judgmental, that you're present, and letting people know and see that you do listen, you do care about their thoughts and what they think as well, so that even if you don't take on board their ideas or their suggestions, they feel that you have heard them, that you have listened to them. And whether you are communicating verbally or in writing, making sure that your communication is clear and concise and that you're getting across the message and your message is being understood. And when you communicate, be confident in your communication. So not using apologetic language, because when you use apologetic language, words such as, oh, I'm sorry, but, or sorry to bother you, but that sort of talk, it can come across that you lack confidence. And if you're wanting people to buy into your vision or your ideas or take on board what you're suggesting, then communicating assertively and with confidence will help to instill confidence in you and convey that assurance. And while delivering, make sure it's relatable and memorable. So use stories to get your message across. If you're presenting an idea, think about how you can build storytelling into it. And as I said, adapt your style as necessary when you're communicating. So know your audience, recognize your audience. You may communicate with the board differently to how you may communicate with a client or with junior members of staff in terms of their knowledge and understanding. The board may not necessarily want you to go into great detail. They may just want high level facts. Other people may want more in-depth knowledge and information. So know your audience and what it is that you're communicating and how to adapt your communication style so that your message is understood, and make sure that your message is understood by getting the clarification that people know and understand what it is that you're putting forward. And one of the important things when it comes to influencing is being able to sell the benefits of what you are suggesting or what you're putting forward. So be very clear about the value and the benefits that this brings. And, you know, the benefits may not necessarily be advantageous to some people, it may be advantageous to some and not others, but in which case, you know, if it's not advantageous, you know, if it's about changes that you're going to have to make in the organization that may affect people negatively, focus on, well, what are the benefits and why this needs to be done, and how that is going to make a difference or improve things, even though there may be some people that are negatively affected. And make sure that you use data, metrics, and evidence that help to support what it is that you're wanting to influence in. And think about what objections you may come across. What are people likely to object to, and anticipate those objections so that when you are putting your case forward, when you're doing your presentation or delivering your those objections before they've actually raised them. So it could be something along the lines of, well, I know you may be worried that we don't have the budget at the moment to deliver on this. However, I recognize that we can make savings here, we can make savings there, or blah, 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 blah. Whatever your situation is, so that you can then cover that before they've even raised it. And also, when it comes to selling the benefits, if you are going to be delivering a presentation to put your idea forward or whatever it is you're going to do, think about who your allies are. Who are those people that you know will that buy into what you're proposing, and look at how you can engage them and get them on your side so that when you do deliver your message on what it is that you're suggesting or wanting to influence on, being influential on, that they are there to support your argument, your case, whatever it is. So think about who your allies are. And so, just to sum up, when it comes to influencing, I've talked about developing the right mindset so that you're going into a situation where you are wanting to influence with the right mindset, having that self-awareness so that you can read the room in a nutshell, and be aware of how your message is landing with people, how people are responding to you, so that you can look at how you can adapt or modify your behavior and your message so that you are bringing them along, and build rapport with your audience, whoever it is, whether it's the board, whether it's team members, whether it's stakeholders. Look at how you build rapport with them and listen to their concerns and let them know and feel that you are listening to them. And think about your communication and how you're communicating and communicate effectively. And remember to sell the benefits and anticipate objections so that you are addressing their objections before they've even raised them. And one of the things which is essential, particularly if you're someone who finds it challenging when you're put on the spot is doing the preparation beforehand. So before you go into your meeting or wherever it is that you're going to be putting forward your idea, is doing the preparation beforehand. And this is something that a conversation I have with my coaching clients time and time again is about that preparation is key. Because if you've gone in there prepared, you know your stuff, you've got your evidence, you've got the data, then when someone does put you on the spot or asks you a challenging question, you've done a lot of the thinking beforehand, so then it is easier for you to respond on the spot. Now, one particular client finds that they are better when it comes to communicating in written communication, that they're better at influencing in that way. Think about how, and if that is you, think about how you can utilize that with the verbal communication. So if you've got a proposal, sending that out in advance so people can read your proposal, where you've articulated your ideas, where you've put the data and the evidence in, and so that when they come to the session or the meeting, that you've articulated that in the written communication. So then now it's about use that to enhance your verbal communication or to support your verbal communication so that you get your message across clearly. Anyway, I hope that you found that helpful, and that will help you when it comes to thinking about how you are influencing and what you need to do to be more influential. And if it's something that you're finding challenging, then leave a comment or do reach out to me. There are various ways in which I can support you in that. And so thank you for listening or watching. And if you're looking to increase your confidence, influence, and impact, if you haven't completed the free assessment on my website, go to aboundingsolutions.com. Under the free resources, there is an assessment that you can complete that will give you ideas about areas that you can focus on. And so until the next time, bye.